Good morning. Welcome to another Simple Truth. We've been in the book of 2 Kings, and we're looking in chapter 5 at the story of Naaman. And we've been going through this verse by verse and relating it practically to our everyday life. And hopefully, you found some encouragement in this. You've been able to relate to this story and really have found yourself in this story. And we want to pick it up in verse 10 again today, where it says this: And Elisha sent a messenger to him, saying, Go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean. But Naaman was angry, and he went away, saying, Behold, I thought that he would surely come out to me, and stand and call upon the name of the Lord his God, and wave his hand over the place and cure the leper. I want to remind you that Naaman went expecting that God would do something. There's a big difference between expectation and anticipation. I preach this all the time, so those of you who are listening that have heard me, this is just going to be review for you. When we set up expectations, it really means that we want something done, and we want it done in a certain way, in a certain place, at a certain time. And anything that doesn't happen along what we want is going to set up disappointment. As a matter of fact, the only way in life that you can be disappointed is if you have expectations. And so Naaman came with expectations. He thought that the prophet was going to do something and specifically do it. He puts it what he expects to happen. He said he's going to call upon the name of the Lord his God and wave his hand over the place and cure the leper. Imagine that. He had it all planned out, what this was going to look like in his mind. You and I have that same problem at times. Isn't it funny how often we go into something with expectation? Whether it's relationships, whether it's our workplace, whether it's our home, whatever it is, we go in expecting that something's going to be done in a certain way. That we're going to go home and our wife is going to meet us at the door with a hug and a kiss and going to rub our feet and is going to cook us dinner and is going to have the house cleaned and everything's all set to go. And instead we walk in, and sometimes we walk into chaos, or we walk in and it's empty. Nobody's there to greet us. We go to work with the same thing. We expect that we're going to be treated a certain way. We expect that we're going to get certain things. And then when that doesn't happen, we're disappointed. Now, you might not have leprosy, but you can find yourself in this story. You can find the place where you get most disappointed. And that's going to lead you, as you go and you look at it, it's going to lead you to expectations. I thought it would be this way. I thought the Sunday morning service would be this way. I thought being on this leadership team would be this way. I thought being part of this small group would be this way. I thought listening to this simple truth would be this way. But Andy hasn't met my expectations. He hasn't broke down this story the way that I would break it down. Right there, I would like to stop and say that's the neat thing about the Bible, isn't it? That you and I can break it down differently. There's a lot of people that read over this whole section and haven't taken 7 videos in order to describe 11, 12, 13 verses. But God says we should come to him with anticipation. That's the difference. Anticipation is about knowing something's going to happen. I'm excited, something's going to happen, but I just don't know what. And down here at the center, we talk about this all the time, that there's an anticipation that God's going to do something, God's going to work. When we started this ministry called Drash Ministries, we were excited that God was going to do something with it. We had no idea what that was going to look like, nor that today it would be very relevant because of the coronavirus and the fact that all of us are kept from going to churches. But we had an anticipation. We just didn't know what it was going to look like. And sometimes that in itself makes us upset. We get frustrated because we are anticipating God's going to work, but we just don't see how. We don't know what's going to happen. People who know me know that I say frequently, I hate surprises. I hate surprises because I'm a reactionist in nature, and I'm also a people pleaser in nature, and I don't want to react poorly to things. And so when you surprise me, that allows for a reaction that may or may not please you. You see how those two things work together. It's hard to be a people pleaser and like surprises. God wants you and I to anticipate what he's going to do in our lives, what he's going to do in each situation. He wants us to come to him asking him to work, asking him to move, asking him to do something, but allowing him the parameters to do it in a way that is pleasing to him, that brings him the glory, and that fits with his plan and his purpose, not only for your life, but the life of those around you. You see, you and I tend to be concerned about our life, just as Naaman was. Just wanted the leprosy to be gone. But God's concerned about how your life interacts with the lives of others. What happens to those around you? And so God wants you to come to him with a sense of anticipation for what he's going to do, but not just for your life, but how that's going to then interact. How am I going to benefit those who are around me at church, at home, at work, at play? How is what God does for me? How is this healing? How is this provision? How is this protection going to actually affect those around us? So here's the challenge for today. Naaman went expecting God to work, and he went away disappointed at this point in the story. How many times have you been disappointed by God, by others, because you've come to them with a sense of expectation? Partly because of who you are, what you've accomplished, where you've been, how you think. That allows us to come to God with some kind of an expectation that he's going to work on our behalf because of the things we've accomplished for him, because of who we think we are. We should come with a sense of anticipation of what God wants to do with us and through us, who he wants us to become.